Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today for our live webinar. It's great to have you here. We'll just wait a little bit longer, a few seconds, to give everyone a minute to join up, and then we'll kick into it. A few more people just jumping in. Okay. Well, we do have a lot to get through today. So yeah, once again, welcome to the webinar. I'm Tony, National Sales Manager at CONQA, Quality Management Software for Construction. Before we get started, I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping up front. So please let me know by adding a thumbs up or typing into the chat box that you can hear me. Just need a couple of hits there. Beautiful. Our session today will be around 30 minutes long. There will be a presentation followed by Q&A at the end. We're recording the session and you will receive a copy of it later in the week. Your microphones have been muted to limit interruptions throughout the presentation. However, if you do have any questions, we encourage you to type them in the chat box. We will then put a few of them to James at the end. We have CONQA's Marketing Manager, Elise, monitoring the webinar in the background. So if you do have any technical issues, she'll jump at you and help you out. Cool. All right, lots of thumbs up coming through. I'll just check the chat box to make sure. Yep, everyone can hear. All right, let's rip into it. The title of today's webinar is Mastering Quality Assurance in Construction, Sansom's Digital Transformation. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, James Benington, Director and Part Owner at Sansom. James is responsible for several portfolios at Sansom, including quality assurance, health and safety, and finance. He is a qualified quantity surveyor and project manager. He has completed an ice house owner manager program, even a qualified firefighter and power line mechanic. Quite the tool belt you have there, mate. Today, James will share how the team moved from manual QA processes to using digital quality assurance with CONQA. The journey began nearly 10 years ago, and it is now a valuable partnership, which has helped CONQA become the product it is today. James, thank you for being here today. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you. So at this point, I'll hand it over to you to take it from here.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Tony, for the warm introduction. I think one thing you forgot to mention there too is there's great indoor cricket opposition to you in the NZIQS annual comp. So anyway, kia ora koutou. So yes, called James Tokulunga. A little bit about me, just to start. I'm actually originally from the South Island, so I've only been living in Auckland now for coming up 10 years. Father of two beautiful young children, and I've been in the construction industry ever since I left school, so coming up a wee while now. Absolutely love it, wouldn't imagine anywhere else to be. So over my 7 years here at Sansom, I've been lucky enough to become a part owner and a director, and really proud to lead the facade seismic team, the HSEQ team, and finance. So also work in the company as a project manager in QS, which allows me to sort of keep my finger on the pulse with what's happening out there. And then, yeah, so as part of my HSEQ role, very lucky to oversee the quality assurance, which, you know, pivots completely around CONQA. So just a quick agenda. So I'm just going to say who we are and what we do, why we use CONQA, how we reduce our risk and risk around us, why we feel part of the CONQA team, feel heard, our continuous improvement pathway, and I mean it never stops, but how it's gone, why we do what we do, and then at the end, if there's any burning questions, we'll try and answer those. So we overview about Sansom. We actually turning 50 years this year, so it's quite a long time in this industry. We've proudly built up to having a staff number of around 150, as you can see by the two photos recently at some value rollout. It's pretty cool bunch of guys and girls. So we're locally owned and operated. All of the owners are fully working in the business and have all been promoted from within. And we're sort of, into third generation ownership now coming through. So our primary focus is in Auckland, and we do projects throughout, the lower North Island and sometimes down into the South Island, as well as the Pacific Islands, but predominantly Auckland. A lot of people see us as a bit of a one-stop shop, and through all of the offerings that we have, we actually can do quite a wraparound service through the below facade and above ground waterproofing. So one thing we're proud of is that we say what we're going to do, and then we stand by it. We're also not afraid to speak up and say when something's not right, or sort of say no to stuff if we know that it's not going to have a good result. So in saying that, despite our industry and the waterproofing and the risk and everything, we do actually see ourselves as being quite a risk adverse company, and that's definitely part of why we're here today, talking with CONQA. So just for some of those that may not know, just run through a bit of our services. So we're obviously a subcontractor, sometimes a main contractor as well, in the construction sector. So do underground tanking membranes and systems. We do roof, balcony, podium membranes and coatings. Do facade waterproofing, flashings and seismic joints, concrete repair, remediation and protection, and general building maintenance. So yeah, how do we operate in this high risk industry? So, in reality, how often do you actually get handed something on time and with the agreed amount of time to do it? Pretty much never. So we need to protect ourselves. We need to protect the clients that we have and the other subs around us, and prove that once we start something, it was ready for us, but also once we've left it, that it's actually to the expected standard that the project team were wanting. So interesting thing that I've learned recently is that the British standard is actually not to expect, particularly an external underground membrane, to be the one-stop shop for water, and there actually needs to be contingency that's built in for failure, and that failure can sometimes be other people actually coming along later and damaging or disturbing a product or system that's been installed. So in our mind, a picture paints 1,000 words in that instance, and our QA that we do with the CONQA, it does more than that. It bundles all those checkpoints and photos into some quite high quality reports that shows exactly the journey that we've undertaken. So as the CONQA system has developed, it's become a tool, to take the he said, she said out of it. And if an area isn't ready, it's a quick photo, checkpoint, send it back. And that's evidence in history forever. And also if we're being asked to do things that aren't right, it's all evidence there, and there's no chance of someone later on sort of trying to cover their ass and say that something didn't happen or did or whatever. So also as we kind of go on this journey, just construction itself is becoming more and more technical, and systems and steps are becoming more precise and detail orientated, and being able to show all of those processes isn't as easy as it used to be. Also with CONQA, it ensures for our team too that they're actually following a process or a standard sequence of events, and it sort of forms part of their step-by-step guide or operating installation procedure that prompts them as to how they need to do something or what the next steps are, and can help take some of the burden off them having to think of everything. Before we move to CONQA, like so many others, QA was probably, as you describe, as non-existent or merely a tick box exercise. And many of us have stories of site managers that would come back to the office after a day out on the tools and try to reassemble an entire day's worth of photos or pieces of information, and often that would be from multiple people or multiple sites, and sometimes that might be, you know, into a Word document or even just an email, or they're printing them out and filing them away. So in our mind, a list of tick boxes isn't really QA. You know, that's simply an afterthought or a checklist, and it's done at the end of the week, more so when someone is looking for it or they're attaching it to their payslip, or, you know, how it was back in the day. But so there was a real lack of verifiable and quantifiable data, and the QA wasn't really seen as a significant focus. And at the end of the day too, when we're moving into the systems right now, and the teams can see that we're taking it seriously, then, and that people are looking at it and they're praising them on completing it, then it also means that the quality of what they're providing and doing, it lifts up as well, and the standards of all those outputs just get better and better. So why CONQA? Way back in the day, you know, before I was here, so sort of 10 years or so ago, one of the founders, Barney, was out of school, but he had gone to school with a business partner from another company, and he pitched the idea of CONQA to them, and just instantly looked at them and said, "You need to go and talk to Sansom." And from that first meeting, we've never looked back, and we're very lucky that we can say that we were one of the early adopters to the system, and really embraced it. So it's fair to say the system back then wasn't what we see it today. And we were just talking about it the other day, and that very first pitch that Barney put to us was obviously looking into Never Never Land, and we're talking about how impressed we are about how so close to that dream that he sold us it has actually become. And a whole lot of things that he said is, this is what it's going to do in the future, and this could be possible, has actually happened. So that's, for us, you know, a real privilege that we've been able to be part of and see that whole journey as part of our sort of partnership. So why has CONQA been such a big part of our business, and we've stood by it? It's you know, things like we've always felt valued, we've always been heard. You know, we've always had them coming to us asking for ideas, or what sort of pain points we have, or what help they can do. It wasn't just them ramming their product down our throats and saying that we have to do this and do that, and making us work to it. They actually have done a lot of hard work in figuring out what would make it easier for us and what do we want. So it's really made us, you know, feel like a partner, not just sort of a product or a customer. And a good example of that is getting around some of our projects. Naturally, we're underground, and it's originally it was a web-based product, and we can't take the 3G underground all the time, and there's not Wi-Fi down there, and we were finding that it was becoming difficult to get the guys to get back at the end of the day and do all of their QA. So we were lucky enough that they developed a way to have an offline version of some of the projects, where the guys could take it down underground or into a basement or wherever they had it, complete all the work, and then as soon as they came back up, somehow the magic fairies would get onto the Wi-Fi and seamlessly import all of that information back into the web-based live system. So another one also is the ability to actually start doing some live signatures, and you know, it's very important now. A part of like our handover and acceptance is that we can verify who's been doing it, and that's another cool tool. But so in our mind, you know, CONQA's become best in class as a tool for us, and as with any system though, you know, it can't do it all. And we've got health and safety systems and online timesheets and other online form collection apps and whatnot. And we've, even through all of that, and they try and pitch us other ways to use QA with them and everything, we just haven't been able to find anything else that captures QA and then manages and tracks it in the same way CONQA has. So it's always been a lovely standalone product for us. one thing CONQA is really done for us is that it's been user friendly, and because we're big believers in it has to be simple, and it can't be cumbersome, and it can't be overbearing, and at the end of the day, we want to make sure that it's suitable for the guys out on the field, guys and girls out on the field that are doing the work. Because while we have the luxury of sitting at a desk or away from site and make it as complicated and hard as we want, it's actually then not going to get used well. So we're always looking at keeping it simple. And with that also, you've got to be able to take it everywhere. So again, the shift from online only to being able to have offline projects was great, and then on mobile devices and going out and capturing it has been awesome. So and Amine, it's affordable, it's adaptable, and we deal with the likes of Tony and Dan and Barney face to face, and sometimes even on a cricket pitch or up at Galbraith at the bar or something. It's we're dealing with real people that we're able to have real conversations with and talk, chew the fat with about more than just this, but it all starts to working together. So a cool improvement we've seen lately too is that CONQA actually has started working with suppliers directly, and going out to the Neuralites and the Seekers and the Orcos of the world, and they're actually formulating the checklists directly with them, and that takes away the requirement for us or our users here to actually go through quite a painstaking process of building up every single checklist from scratch and making sure that they capture all the little intricacies of different systems and different supply requirements. So that's a cool extra service that's happening now just organically. So I think the reports and the outputs have also developed a lot. So we share a QA and a checklist with our clients, and that's been the main contractors and other facade, and that helps them understand the steps of what we actually need to do and the process that we need, our process and what it looks like, and it educates and brings them into our world, and it means that when we get there, they've got a better understanding, so they've got other things in place to work with us in the scope that we're there to do. Introducing change is not always easy, and for us, all those years ago, it was definitely a challenge. It was resisted a bit from employees that were concerned about the time constraints it was going to take, and the need to have technology, and how much data it was going to use, and what sort of connection, and Big Brother's looking at me, and it was a change for them. But as I was saying before about keeping it simple and keeping it easy, once they started using it and seeing what it did, what input they needed, and then also the outputs, then they trusted it, and actually they sometimes the driver of its use, and asking for it to get down to more of a detail and giving us feedback. So they to a degree actually become the driver of what we're seeing out there now as the final product. And over time, the software's flexibility has also made it more efficient, and again, it's improved their attitude. So definitely at the start, the system wasn't what it is today, but through all those trials and those errors and a bit of whinging, working through some of our key contacts at CONQA, it's definitely advanced. And what I'd probably say to that is if there's things that you want out of these guys at CONQA and guys and girls, then be the squeaky wheel, because they don't know what they don't know. Also, they don't always live in our world, and without asking, then you're not going to get that change, or you're not going to get that streamlined effect or an additional piece to the product. So so yeah, nothing really beats hearing from a main contractor that they've got council on site, they're coming in to do an audit of the QA system, and just how easy it was that they were able to log into our CONQA through the read-only access, bring up our project and our profile, and go into a working area or other areas that have been done, and see all the checks and the photos, and they're not ringing around, they're not chasing us up, they're not suddenly embarrassed about something not being there, and it proves to council that they're actually on top of what they're doing, and supports them. So it is a bit like Big Brother's watching sometimes. It does mean that we can watch from afar, and we can check on work that's been completed or what the progress is, or zooming in on photos to see what sort of standard the guys are doing things to. It also, and I go back to that site supervisor coming into the yard at the end of the day, and it means that photos are filed against the exact area or location instantly. And many of our applicators, they love showing a great close-up shot of an extreme, an amazingly complicated detail that they did, and they're proud of it. But what they don't realize is that they did 20 of those that day. And when you look at a photo on a screen with no context, then all 20 of them look exactly the same. And suddenly it's very hard to actually be able to associate this one to that pile cap, or this one to that ground beam section, or this is the joint in that facade. So the fact that they can load them directly into that location that we've already preset is a huge improvement, and has stopped this big clutter of meaningless sort of beautiful photos. We also, because it's real life, we're able to track our progress through the matrix, and what's been completed, what's in progress, what's not started yet, and it has at times been used to validate progress claims, which was a little bonus that we got at one point when we were working on a 40-level building and trying to say that all these balconies were done or not, and it takes a bit of time to go to site and prove that and walk through it and check it. So the fact that we're able to provide this evidence straight out of it, it's pretty hard to argue with, and it's very well mapped out, and it has the backup of those photos again if you want to drill into it and check and see what's been verified and when, and we even got to a point with some clients that they were starting to ask for that, us to submit that matrix with their claim, and it's fair to say that they were never on our overdue debt list, or we didn't have claims that were coming back certified and requiring adjustments. So it was a little bonus that we didn't see it at the time, but has been very helpful. So we love involving our stakeholders. When we set up a project, we always share it. We always share it with the consultants and facade engineers, and give them the opportunity to review what we're looking at capturing. And that ensures that we're gathering, the correct information and at what intervals and whatever's relevant to them. So it guarantees that any specific references, steps, batch numbers, lap sizes, mix ratios, whatever it is captured right from the beginning, and there's no surprises at the end for anyone who's looking to sign off that PS4 or validate something. It's too late then. We can't get back to that location necessarily and take photos or record the steps that we've taken, or that those are actually to their liking. So I say this because we don't want to record every single little detail, not every single intricate detail. We in my mind, QA is more about painting a picture of how we went about the work we've done and what we do kind of on average, but we don't want to get to a point that we have to show every tiny little bit of evidence of every square millimeter of the build. So by providing that at the front end, it means that we can agree to a realistic sort of frequency and what information wants to come out of it. And again, talk about the read-only access. It's such a great way to keep everyone involved as the project goes on, and it doesn't matter where they are. It allows them to log in and to the project or projects maybe, because we definitely have guys that are across multiple ones, and they can check the progress, the quality, verify stuff. They might have a question about something that they can go on and have a look, and it solves a problem or something that's unknown to them. So it's far-reaching, really. So what has the impact been? I think a turning point for us was, and when we truly knew that we were on for the right thing was when some leaks started turning up in some of our underground tanking applications, and it's always the waterproofers' fault. We're always blamed first. We're the first phone call, and then it's up to us to prove, essentially prove our innocence, and it's pretty hard to do when that issue or that product or whatever it is actually on the other side of a 300 thick concrete wall, or it's 12 meters underground and could be under Queen Street. Who knows? And when we were able to turn around and show evidence, photographic evidence, no less, of what we'd actually installed and how it was installed, and how we left it, well, quite quickly the spotlight actually came off us. And now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't about walking away or turning it back on us, because we are definitely the remedial or repairers of that work, and not just as but others around the country as well. But it just meant that the responsibility and the sort of blame was no longer on us, and we could just get back to concentrating on the issue at hand and getting things dry again. So yeah, it's a future-proofs our business. It helps us stand apart from the rest to become a preferred subcontractor or even a partner to our clients, and just in the same as CONQA has become a partner of ours. So it means that we're leading the charge. We're not chasing the pack in terms of the compliance and setting the standard, and we're able to quite simply prove our worth and prove our reliability to everyone. It sometimes, like I might have alluded to it does solve other problems. Sometimes it answers questions where someone else has maybe been able to provide QA, or there's a question about something, or it's been missed, and the fact that we're able to go back and use it to verify something, not always our work, is a little added bonus. I think lastly, I'll just add too that we've recently gone down some ISO accreditation, and this has definitely been pivotal in providing this to our auditors and showing the robust systems and everything that we have in place. So yeah, in summary, I mean, why wouldn't we use CONQA, and why wouldn't we continue to use it into the future? It's always advancing and it's improving, which in terms helps us to do exactly the same. It removes the risk from us. It removes the undue blame that we're often given first, and sometimes with no reason or thought. So that's great, and it is, well, to a degree, it's keeping us in business, and it allows us to continue to support our biggest and most important research, which are our team members, as you see in this photo, and their families. And this photo of recent Family Fun Day just goes to show how big our community is, and we want to make sure that we protect them, as much as we protect ourselves and our clients, and keep growing this beautiful community. So to that, it's the end, and I thank you all for your time and for tuning in today, or finding this somewhere on the internet. I hope it's been insightful to see who we are and how we've aligned ourselves with great partner like CONQA. And now, Tony, hopefully we've got some time for some questions, or hopefully there are some questions. But even so, if they don't come through now, please feel free to drop me a line anytime, and we can, my doors are always open, my phone's always on. So yeah.
No, thank you very much, James. And yeah, guys, just chuck some questions in the chat if you've got any. I just want to sort of touch on one key takeaway, I guess, from hearing your words, is that QA is so much more, I guess, than what some people look at it as. It's not just a digital form or a paper checklist. It can be used for many other elements of your business. Like, a question I've kind of got is, you're saying it enhances your relationship with main contractors. I assume, do you introduce that to them at the pre-let meeting? Would that be correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's QA is always a pretty hot topic, and particularly around it's a fairly high risk industry that we're in. So when we get to that, and we straight away can flat bat it to them and say that we're using CONQA, it just, that's all they need to know, and they just say, awesome, great, write it down, and we can move on to the next point, and they know, straight away, obviously the CONQA brand, but also what they're going to get from that, and the reliability of it. So it's an easy and quick discussion topic for sure. Yeah,
it's always handy to have that, I guess, up your sleeve for the tender phase.
Yeah.
Another cool, I guess, thing to hear was your onboarding challenges. Like, even though it was 10 years ago, a lot of other software providers will kind of, at the point of sale, just put their hands up and say, Jesus, take the wheel, or, good luck. do you have any examples of sort of the CONQA support team specifically troubleshooting or helping, or I don't know, anything to speak to that side of our service?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just in general, really, like we're quite happy to speak up, but we've also totally appreciated over the years, you guys coming to us and asking us questions about the product and wanting the no frills, the non-fluffy feedback and what we think of it. And sometimes, I think there's some of those conversations that maybe been a little bit uncomfortable and whatnot, but it's always been with good intent. And then the flip side to that is that we've more often than not actually seen you guys go away and think about it and come back and not only have you heard what we're asking for, but you've actually done something a little bit better and you've gone, I can take it this far, but why not a bit further? And it's kind of got your sort of your juices going there to do something more than what we were just looking at. And we've just really enjoyed that journey, I guess, and the offline ones, the big example that was a real benefit to us, and a real improvement to the some bugbears and some grizzling from the crews out there, just to be able to still keep doing it as they were and not have to come back and spend time at night away from the family or whatever doing it. So yeah, it was one that we definitely appreciated the most out there. Yeah.
100%. Cool. We've got a question from one of the attendees. Sort of asking, have you found by using the app, the CONQA app, the team are a bit more relaxed and more productive the more they start trusting the app? So I guess building on what you're saying around it being offline and usable. So yeah, do they start trusting the app? And
absolutely, yeah. And I think that not only do they trust it, but they also, when we can provide bring a report out and show it to them and actually show them the end result of what their QA looks like, it makes them proud of it, and it makes them aware of it's not just a photo or a record of something that gets put into a system and forgotten about forever. We're quite big on making sure that they see that their hard work is actually for a reason, and then when and sharing, we do get plenty of feedback from main contractors about how good that QA is and how valuable those reports are, and we always give that back to the guys and show them that their hard work in that is 100% worth it, and that little time that they take is more than worth it, and yeah, it's valued for sure. And the more that they use it, actually the better they get at it, the quicker they get at it, and like I say, they actually start coming back to us with ideas, or hey, can we add this checkpoint in here, or could we sequence it like this, and they're driving back to us now about how to make those improvements and streamline it, or add more checkpoints in, or whatever. So it's ever evolving.
Bloody brilliant. Really appreciate that. Solid answer. Does look like that's the last question. So I will start to wrap it up. Huge thank you, James. We know you're a busy man, so taking the time to chat with us today is super appreciated. And it's great to see how you guys have evolved over the last 10 years and going forward. For those in attendance today, I guess you've heard about what CONQA can do. If you would like to see how the product works, we have a free trial option or book a demo on the website. The free trial takes you into a kind of demo project, which explains the kind of mapping James is talking about, and you can see kind of real examples of photos attached to checklists and how it can help you and the team. So lovely. I think we've gone over, which is a good sign. People are still here. Thank you very much, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, everyone, for attending.
See you later.
See you, mate.